Yeah, obviously we lost to a good Penn State football team. The most disappointing part, I think, on my end right now, as soon as the game's over, is just some of the opportunities that we did have. We didn't make some plays when there were some available plays to be made. I was very proud of the defense, the way they competed, especially in the second half. For a large part of the second half there, almost a quarter and a half, we held them to 6 points there, and I really thought our defense did a great job of competing. We're just not clicking right now from an offensive standpoint. We got to get that fixed. It starts with me. We'll get back in here and we'll attack the film and we'll get that cleaned up. But we lost to a good Penn State football team. And obviously when you're playing a team of that caliber in a place like this, you got to make sure that you execute when you do have the opportunities. That's the hardest part to swallow right now.
Yeah, Coach, I guess from the there were a couple of drives there in the first half where you guys were marching down the field and got to the red zone and Penn State kind of stuff. What worked on those offensive drives, and what do you hope to kind of replicate?
Obviously, when you're playing a team that plays good defense like they have for a long period of time, they're going to make you earn it. And so when you do have some opportunities, though, to connect on some plays, and whether it's grind out some tough yards or make a tough completion, you got to be able to get that done. And so we got down the red zone. They did a good job of stepping up. Certainly, we had a couple of self-inflicted wounds where we had to move back, whether it was a penalty, whether it was a pre-snap penalty, or whether it was a hold. You got to stay out of that. You simply cannot have that happen when you're talking about playing against a team like Penn State or any team for that matter. So it starts with us. We got to get that fixed, in order to make sure that we finish off drives with touchdowns, and especially against a football team like this. The crowd was awesome. The student section was awesome down there at their end doing their part. Certainly they made it tough to hear, and we knew that going in, and we got to be able to execute.
I guess from the red zone perspective, that more Penn State just kind of being stubborn on defense. I know they held Wisconsin last week. I mean, how hard is it to punch it in? I guess with the defense.
Oh, I mean, they're a good defense. They got good personnel. Obviously, they've done a good job. They play with a lot of confidence. They've been a good defense for a long time. So, but in saying that, yes, there were some opportunities where if we execute the way we're capable of executing, we could have scored points, and we didn't get that done. So we got to get that fixed. But certainly, we're going to get back. We got to get started tomorrow and attack the film, make the corrections, and then we got another tough opponent next week on the road.
We'll go to Ian.
Yeah. So playing a team as good as Penn State, I mean, I know you guys have to look in the film room, but just based off what you've seen, what can you learn from this game that can maybe help you guys going forward?
Well, still, it's all about execution. And again, as I mentioned already, we got to make sure that when we do have opportunities to make some plays, we got to get that done. We got to make the available plays when it's in an environment like this and it's against defense or against a football team that is going to make you earn it. We got to be able to get that done. And the hardest part was when we were in position, or when we did have those opportunities, we just simply did not get it done. So it's about us going back, attacking the film, looking at ourselves in the mirror, and we got to get better. We got a lot of room here for improvement, and certainly we're not where we need to be yet in order to be a team that can compete week in, week out.
And then final question, Paddock got some time in there. How important was that for him, and what did you take away from his performance?
I'm proud of John. He stepped in there. He's a competitor. He finished connecting on 5 out of 6 throws there. I thought he did a nice job of just running the offense when he got in. I think that says a lot about him staying ready. He's worked hard in practice. He's worked hard in the film room. And, John's a talented guy, so it was good to see him make some impressive throws there when he got an opportunity.
Go ahead, Charleston.
Hey, Coach. Could you talk a little bit about the play of their secondary and just kind of the challenges that their coverage gave you guys in the passing game?
Oh, they do a good job mixing it up. They made it tough on our guys when we were in normal splits, when we were lined up out wide. They made it tough, making it. They were challenging us at the line of scrimmage versus press coverage at times. They did a good job of mixing that up. So, they're talented. If you look out there on the field, you see the length of the corners, you see the size of the safeties. I mean, it's a good group, it's a good unit on the back end. It's a great challenge for us. So, my hat's off to them. But we knew that going in. When you study the personnel and you scout them, You knew they were a good defense and had talent. Coach Franklin and his staff definitely done a great job in recruiting.
Probably got time for one or two more. We'll go to Bryce.
Hey, Coach. Just got a few questions for you. What was it like, and what was the difference between playing at a crowd at Ball State and then a crowd in front of 100,000 plus people?
Well, you simply just don't, when you run out of the tunnel and there's 100,000 people, that's a pretty special environment in college football. Obviously, it's one of the elite venues that certainly has a great home field advantage that way. And so it's an awesome opportunity. We've worked hard all week long in practice with crowd noise, with music, as much as we possibly could to focus on silent communication to make sure we were good with that. But special place, man. And that's, when I was a kid playing the game, and a lot of these guys in our locker room were kids playing the game, you dream of playing in an environment like that. And it was awesome. But certainly once we ran out of the tunnel and all the smoke cleared, there was a game to be played, and we didn't play well enough to give ourselves a chance.
Absolutely. Just a couple more questions. How do you think the players handled the atmosphere being at an away game with so many opposing fans?
Yeah, no, I think the guys did a good job. Obviously, our effort was something certainly we discussed a bunch that, they may have a guy that might be an inch or two taller, might have a guy or two that might have his arms might be a little bit longer, his 40 time might be a little bit faster, but you can't measure heart, and we got to make up for, whatever it is from a skill standpoint, we got to make up for it with effort. So I thought our guys competed. Certainly, there's a few guys that struggled a little bit with some of the heat, but that's going to happen when you play early season games and the weather's hot. So I thought our guys, for the most part, handled it well, but certainly there were some penalties and some of the things pre-snap wise that we hope to avoid that snuck up and got us a time or two.
All
All
right,
right, last question. How will playing in a stadium like Wyoming's next week be different than Penn State this week?
Yeah, I haven't had a chance yet to do a whole bunch of research on the stadium out there at Wyoming. So we'll dive into that, on the plane trip back. We'll dive into that tomorrow morning just to see what the environment's like. We watch a lot of TV copies, Penn State from 2019 for their home games to try to get a foundation of what it would be like. Talk to some coaches that, whose teams play here just to see what the challenges were. So we'll dive into that once we start with our preparation first thing in the morning with Wyoming.
All right, thank you, Coach.
All right, Bryce, thanks for joining us. We'll start in-house. Robbie, if you want to have any questions.
Yeah, I guess just after a game like that against one of the better teams in the country, what's the message that you guys had amongst yourselves?
Before I answer your questions, I just want to send my condolences to any families or anybody that was impacted by 9/11. Very tragic event that took place 20 years ago. So, first I wanted to express my condolences. And then to answer your question, but after a game like that, all of our goals are still in front of us in terms of just, conference championship, bowl contention, things of that nature. Obviously, we want to win every game. This isn't a game where we came in expecting to lose or that we're accepting defeat by any means. But, Penn State was a better team today. They came out and executed and did what was needed to win. And, for us, it's just a learning experience. There's a lot of stuff we can learn from on tape in all phases. And we're just going to take this on the chin, learn from it, and improve to put ourselves in a better position next week against Wyoming.
You talk about all the goals still kind of being in front. How do you kind of reset after this with Wyoming and Toledo and Army coming up?
I've been here for a while, so I understand that you can't really take too long in terms of processing wins or losses. Last week we beat Western Illinois, we had to move right on to Penn State. This week we lose to Penn State. Learn from it. Like I said, we'll look at the film tomorrow morning, and then it's on to Wyoming. So win or loss, I don't think you can spend too much time. Basically, it's already in the past, in my opinion. So the biggest thing is you can't spend too much time on a win or a loss. It's always what's next.
All right, we'll go to Ian.
Yeah, can you hear me? Okay. So yeah, you guys playing a team as good as Penn State. I mean, I know it wasn't the result you guys wanted. I know you guys need to go into the film, but I mean, how can playing a team as good as them better you guys, make you guys better?
Like I said, I feel like there's things to learn from every game. Penn State's a great team. Like I said, they came out and executed. But you know, like any other game, there's going to be stuff on film that pops out. There's going to be stuff that Wyoming sees on film that they're going to try to expose. So it's really just honing in on whatever Penn State was doing to us offensively, defensively, on special teams that ended up backfiring on us. We got to get those mistakes fixed. As quickly as possible. So, you know, like I said, the biggest thing is, you know, it's a learning experience in every loss. So that's that's my biggest takeaway.
And then another question, Paddock got some time there at the end of the game. What does that mean for him? I know you guys go up against him in practice. What have you seen from him in practice, and what are your takeaways?
No, yeah, John, that's my guy. Super competitor. Like you said, he's our scout team quarterback, so we kind of see that ferocity and that competitive drive from him on an everyday basis. You know, he kind of leads those guys, and he's got a super bright future. You know, I've watched him put the work in every day. You know, he's got a contagious attitude and competitive spirit, and he's a great addition to our team. But it was good to just see him get that drive at the end of the game and, you know, kind of swing the ball around. So yeah, I think that's a great boost for his confidence. Just, you know, being able to go out there and kind of throw it around a little bit. And yeah, like I said, John's a great guy, hell of a teammate. And he's just his energy is just super contagious. And you know, this is something that we've been seeing for the past couple of years. So it's no surprise this way.
Go ahead, Charleston.
Hey, Bryce, you led the team with 11 tackles today. Could you talk a little bit about what went well for you today, and maybe what are one or two things you want to kind of improve from today?
Yeah, I just try to go out there and give my best effort. Any game, you know, it doesn't matter what game it is. I try to go out there and do whatever it takes to help my team get a win, and that didn't happen today. So, from my end, we just got to fix the things on defense. You know, I feel like we could have tackled better as a whole. You know, I feel like there was a lot of loopholes in terms of just, you know, missed tackles, leaky yardage, and that kind of bit us in the butt. But yeah, really, you know, the biggest thing is just learning from this, cleaning up some of the miscues on defense, and yeah, moving forward.
Are there any more in the queue for Bryce? Okay, thank you, Bryce. We'll have Curtis Blackwell up next.
Yes, just from an offensive perspective, I mean, there was 2 drives there in the first half where you guys really were able to move the ball, just weren't able to punch it on a touchdown. What are you taking away from some of those drives, being able to move against a Penn State defense?
Yeah, just kind of like Bryce kind of mentioned, just as a team today, we just missed our opportunities. You know, they were out there and we didn't always take advantage of it. So we just have to look at the film this starting tomorrow and just fix the stuff that we were struggling with today. And just kind of, when we get in those key moments of where we need to make a play, like we would just got to make those plays and try to get better in terms of that, just finishing the drives.
I guess, I mean, in your guys, I mean, what worked there? It seems like when you guys are kind of spreading the ball out so much, different guys are able to move. I mean, what was the difference between maybe some of those 3 and outs and those 75-yard drives?
Yeah, I mean, there's always, you look back at a game, every single game, and there's always, you know, that's just how football is. There's always just a handful of plays that really determine the outcome of the game. You know, people just looking from the outside, you see the score, but really when you watch the film, there's just a couple plays that, you know, if we capitalize here, if we convert, if we execute like we need to, you know, it could be a totally different situation. So we just, you know, we gotta, like I said, look at those plays, you know, figure out what we did wrong and try to correct it for next week.
We'll go to Ian.
Yeah, so late in the game, Paddock got in there. What does that mean for him, and what are your takeaways on his performance tonight?
Yeah, I was really impressed with Paddock and the way he led the offense out there in that last series, and just all the guys that were getting some key reps there and just continuing to develop. I was just really proud of how they came out and executed. So I think that's a great opportunity for them to get that experience and continue to grow as football players.
Go ahead, Charleston.
As an offensive line unit, Coach Neu talked about, fixing a couple issues on offense. In this next week before Wyoming, what do you want the offensive line to kind of focus on in this week of practice?
Yeah, I think, we got to start with me. I have to take an individual look at myself and watch the film and see the things that I didn't do well enough on and correct those. And if we do that as a unit, I think, we'll have a lot better results and the results that we want next week. And I know our team's going to take that approach. Everybody will take that approach. We'll all look at ourselves and see the things that we didn't do well enough on this week and correct them and come out firing next week. We're excited to get back after it.
All right, go ahead, Bryce.
Hey, just 2 questions for you. What is it like and what difference did it make playing in front of a crowd that was upwards of 100,000 people?
Yeah, great experience. Obviously an awesome environment to play in. When you're a little kid, you think about those type of games and playing in that environment. Fortunately from my perspective, we didn't have too many miscues on the offensive sides in terms of the loudness. It was definitely loud out there. Just, kind of a cool thing, but we definitely put a lot of effort this week in practice and just trying to be ready for that situation. You can never totally prepare for it, but just overall an awesome experience that, play here.
Last question. How do you think you and your teammates handled the atmosphere as a whole, playing in front of a bunch of opposing fans like that?
Yeah, I think we handled it pretty well. Obviously that's not the typical environment that we play in, and to come in here and I felt like we played it or handled it pretty well. And like I mentioned earlier, when it comes down to it, we just got to look at ourselves and find the things that we need to get better on this week and focus on those and make those corrections.
All right, thank you.